Istanbul, Table of Contents.
Istanbul. Dr. Sydney Soclof. Dr. Sydney at earthlink.net. 2021. Istanbul is historically also known as Byzantium and Constantinople.
Istanbul is the largest city in Turkey and fifth largest city in the world, with a population of 12.6 million. Istanbul is also the cultural and financial center of Turkey.
Where's Istanbul?
Istanbul is in the western part of Turkey near the Black Sea.
The European section of Turkey, Eastern Thrace, forms the borders of Turkey with Greece and Bulgaria.
Istanbul is located on the Bosphorus Strait and encompasses the natural harbor known as the Golden Horn, in the northwest of the country.
Separating Anatolia and Thrace are the Sea of Marmara and the Turkish Straits, the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles, which are commonly reckoned to delineate the boundary between Europe and Asia, thereby making Turkey a transcontinental Eurasian country of significant geostrategic importance.
By long tradition, the waters washing the peninsula are called the Three Seas. They are the Golden Horn, the Bosphorus, and the
Golden Horn is a deep, drowned valley about 4.5 miles, 7 kilometers, long. Early inhabitants saw it as being shaped like a deer horn, but modern Turks call it the Halas Canal.
The Bosphorus is the channel connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean by way of the Sea of Marmara and the Straits of the Dardanelles.
Bordered on both sides by the massive city of Istanbul, the Bosphorus Strait is one of the planet's most strategic waterways. This body of water serves as a primary highway for the transport of energy to Europe from Russia and Western Asia. In 2005, over 55,000 ships, including almost 6,000 oil tankers, passed through it, most carrying Russian oil.
Crossed by two large suspension bridges, the Bosphorus Strait is just over 2 miles across at its widest point, and about 32 kilometers, 20 miles, in length.
The Bosphorus divides European Istanbul from the city's districts on the Asian shore: Üsküdar, ancient Chrysopolis, and Kadıköy, ancient Chalcedon.
On the European or western side, the narrow Golden Horn separates the old city of Istanbul to the south from the new city of Beyoğlu to the north.
Cruise ships dock along the Golden Horn.
This shows the cruise ships docking along the Golden Horn.
Istanbul is still a walled city. The land walls, which isolate the peninsula from the mainland, were breached only once, by the cannons of Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, the Conqueror, in 1453, at the spot since called Cannon Gate, Topkapi.
The walls are 4.5 miles, 7 kilometers, long and consist of a double line of ramparts. The inner built in 413, the outer in 447, protected by a moat. The higher inner wall is about 30 feet, 9 meters, high and 16 feet thick and is studded with 60-foot towers about 180 feet apart. Of 92 turrets originally raised on the outer wall, 56 are still standing.
The Galata and Ataturk bridges cross the Golden Horn to Beyoğlu. Each day before dawn their center spans are swung open to allow passage to seagoing ships.
This is the Ataturk Bridge across the Golden Horn.
Istanbul has two of the world's longest suspension bridges. The Bosphorus One Bridge, completed in 1973, with a main span of 3,524 feet, 1,074 meters.
and the Fatih Sultan Mehmed Bridge, completed in 1988, with a main span of 3,576 feet, 1,090 meters.
The history of Istanbul.
In its long history, Istanbul has served as the capital city of the Roman Empire, 330 to 395. The Eastern Roman, Byzantine, Empire, 395 to 1204 and 1261 to 1453. The Latin Empire, 1204 to 1261. And the Ottoman Empire, 1453 to 1922.
Its original name was Byzantium in the Greek language, known as Byzantium in the Latin language. Byzantium was originally settled as a colony by Greeks from Megara in 667 BC, and named after their king Byzas.
Byzantium was founded as a Greek colony in the 8th century BC, passing to the Persian dynasty in 512 BC, and then to Alexander the Great. It became a free city under the Romans in the 1st century AD.
The Roman Emperor Septimius Severus razed the town for opposing him in a civil war in 196 AD. He then rebuilt it, naming it Augusta Antonina in honor of his son.
Constantine the Great thought this city was in good location, and in 330, moved the capital of the empire from Rome to there, as New Roma. He then renamed the city Constantinople, Constantinopolis in the Greek language, after his name.
Constantinople was to become one of the great world capitals, a font of imperial and religious power, a city of vast wealth and beauty, and the chief city of the Western world. Until the rise of the Italian maritime states, it was the first city in commerce, as well as the chief city of what was until the mid-11th century, the strongest and most prestigious power in Europe.
Culturally, Constantinople fostered a fusion of Oriental and Occidental custom, art, and architecture. The religion was Christian, the organization Roman, and the language and outlook was Greek.
The concept of the divine right of kings, rulers who are defenders of the faith as opposed to the king as divine himself, was evolved there. They retained its value and served as a monetary standard for more than 1,000 years.
The Byzantine Christian Empire lasted 1,130 years. Constantinople as the seat of empire was to become as important as the empire itself in the end. Although the territories had virtually shrunk away, the capital endured.
Constantine's new city walls tripled the size of Byzantium, which now contained imperial buildings, such as the completed hippodrome begun by Septimius Severus, a huge palace, legislative halls, several imposing churches, and streets decorated with multitudes of statues taken from rival cities.
In addition to other attractions of the capital, free bread and citizenship were bestowed on those settlers who would fill the empty reaches beyond the old walls. There was, furthermore, a welcome for Christians, a tolerance of other beliefs, and benevolence toward Jews.
Constantinople was also an ecclesiastical center. In 381 it became the seat of a patriarch, who was second only to the Bishop of Rome. The Patriarch of Constantinople is still the nominal head of the Orthodox Church.
When the Roman Empire was later divided into two, the Eastern Roman Empire was known as the Byzantine Empire, and had its capital in Constantinople.
After the fall of Rome in the 5th century, Constantinople, now Istanbul, was the capital of the Byzantine or Eastern Roman Empire for 1,000 years.
Constantinople was captured by the Fourth Crusade, 1203, and turn over to Latin Christian rule. It was returned to Byzantine rule in 1261.
Although it was captured by Crusaders for a time, it continued as one of political, cultural, religious and economical centers of Europe until it finally fell to the Ottoman Turks in 1453.
The Ottoman Empire or Ottoman State is also known as the Ottoman Turkish Empire. It lasted from 1299 to 1923.
Constantinople, now Istanbul, fell in 1453 to Ottoman Turks, who ruled a vast empire for over 400 years.
In the 13th century, Arabs used the appellation Istanbulan, a name they heard Byzantines use, Istanbulan, which, in reality, was a Greek phrase that meant in the city, through a series of speech permutations over a span of centuries. This name became Istanbul. Until the Turkish post office officially changed the name in 1930. However, the city continued to bear the old name of Constantinople.
At the height of its power in the 16th and 17th centuries, the Byzantine Empire spanned 3 continents, controlling much of southeastern Europe, Western Asia and North Africa.
The empire was at the center of interactions between the Eastern and Western worlds for 6 centuries. With Constantinople, Istanbul, as its capital city, and vast control of lands around the eastern Mediterranean during the reign of Suleiman the Magnificent, who ruled from 1520 to 1566.
The Ottoman Empire was, in many respects, an Islamic successor to the Eastern Roman, or Byzantine Empire.
When the Republic of Turkey was founded in 1923, the capital was moved to Ankara, and Constantinople was officially renamed Istanbul in 1930.
Istanbul Sights.
Many of the city's historic sites are located in the medieval walled city of Istanbul.
This is the part of Istanbul that was the medieval walled city of Istanbul.
These are the principal points of interest in this area of Istanbul. Among its architectural treasures are the Hagia Sophia, the Mosque of Suleiman, and the Blue Mosque.
This shows again the principal points of interest in this area of Istanbul.
This is a map of the Istanbul region.
This is a map of the Istanbul region near the Golden Horn.
This is another map of the Istanbul region near the Golden Horn.
This is another map of the Istanbul region near the Golden Horn.
The Mosques of Istanbul.
The Hagia Sophia is a former Orthodox patriarchal basilica, later a mosque, and now a museum in Istanbul.
Famous in particular for its massive dome. It is considered the epitome of Byzantine architecture and to have changed the history of architecture. It was the largest cathedral in the world for nearly 1,000 years, until the completion of the Seville Cathedral in 1520.
The current building was originally constructed as a church between 532 and 537 AD on the orders of the Byzantine Emperor Justinian, and was in fact the third Hagia Sophia, or Church of the Holy Wisdom, to occupy the site.
The previous 2 churches had both been destroyed by riots. It was designed by Isidore of Miletus, a physicist, and Anthemius of Tralles, a mathematician.
The church contained a large collection of holy relics and featured, among other things, a 15-meter, 49-foot, silver iconostasis.
The Hagia Sophia was the seat of the Patriarch of Constantinople and the religious focal point of the Eastern Orthodox Church for nearly 1,000 years. It was the church in which Cardinal Humbert in 1054 marched up to the altar and excommunicated Michael I Cerularius, which is commonly considered the start of the Great Schism.
Although it is sometimes referred to as Sancta Sophia, as though it were named after a saint named Sophia, Sophia being the phonetic spelling in Latin of the Greek word for wisdom.
The full name in Greek translates to the Church of the Holy Wisdom of God, the church being dedicated to Jesus Christ in Eastern Orthodox theology, the Holy Wisdom of God.
In 1453, Constantinople was conquered by the Ottoman Turks and Sultan Mehmed II ordered the building to be converted into a mosque. The bells, altar, iconostasis, and sacrificial vessels were removed, and many of the mosaics were eventually plastered over.
The Islamic features, such as the mihrab, the minbar, and the four minarets outside were added over the course of its history under the Ottomans. It remained as a mosque until 1935, when it was converted into a museum by the Republic of Turkey.
For almost 500 years as the principal mosque of Istanbul, Hagia Sophia served as a model for many of the Ottoman mosques, such as the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, Blue Mosque of Istanbul, the Sizaid Mosque, the Süleymaniye Mosque, the Rustam Pasha Mosque, and the Kilis Ali Pasha Mosque.
The Süleymaniye Mosque is one of the most famous architectural legacies of the Ottoman Empire.
This is the Blue Mosque, Sultan Ahmed Mosque, with its distinctive ensemble of 6 minarets. It is called the Blue Mosque because of the color of its interior tiles. This masterful building with its many domes and 6 minarets was built to compete with the Hagia Sophia across the street.
The Blue Mosque was built between 1609 and 1616, during the rule of Ahmed I. Like many other mosques, it also comprises a tomb of the founder, a madrasa and a hospice.
While still used as a mosque, the Sultan Ahmed Mosque has also become a popular tourist attraction of Istanbul.
This is the view of the courtyard of the Blue Mosque.
This a view of the interior of the Blue Mosque.
This another view of the interior of the Blue Mosque.
The Suzaid Mosque, in Turkish, Suzaid Camii, is an Ottoman imperial mosque located in the district of Fatih, on the third hill of Istanbul.
The Suzaid Mosque is sometimes referred to as the Prince's Mosque in English.
This is the Suzaid Mosque.
This is the Suzaid Mosque.
This is the ornate dome of the Suzaid Mosque.
This is the interior Suzaid Mosque.
Topkapi Palace is not only immense in size and structure, but is also full of history.
Topkapi Palace was first constructed in 1459 by Sultan Mehmet II, who had conquered Istanbul in 1453. This was the main palace that was used by the Sultan, his family and thousands of staff.
There are many different areas that help to run the complex, from courtyard to meeting rooms, harems and more.
It also suffered from many mishaps from fires, and other palaces were later favored for one reason or another.
The Topkapi Palace was the official and primary residence in the city of the Ottoman Sultans for 400 years of their 600-year reign, from 1465 to 1856.
The palace was a setting for state occasions and royal entertainments, and is a major tourist attraction today, containing the most holy relics of the Muslim world, such as the Prophet Muhammad's cloak and sword.
Topkapi Palace is among those monuments belonging to the historic areas of Istanbul, which became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985.
The palace is a complex made up of 4 main courtyards and many smaller buildings. At the height of its existence as a royal residence, the palace was home to as many as 4,000 people.
The palace complex has been expanded over the centuries, with many renovations, such as after the 1509 earthquake and 1665 fire. It held mosques, a hospital, bakeries, and a mint.
The name directly translates as Cannon Gate Palace, from the palace being named after a nearby, now destroyed, gate.
The Topkapi Palace gradually lost its importance at the end of the 17th century, as the sultans preferred to spend more time in their new palaces along the Bosphorus.
In 1856, Sultan Abdülmecid I decided to move the court to the newly built Dolmabahce Palace, the first European-style palace in the city. Some functions, such as the imperial treasury, the library, mosque and mint, were retained.
After the end of the Ottoman Empire in 1921, Topkapi Palace was transformed by government decree in 1924 into a museum of the imperial era.
The Topkapi Palace Museum has hundreds of rooms and chambers, but only the most important are accessible to the public today.
The complex is guarded by officials of the ministry, as well as armed guards of the Turkish military.
The palace is full of examples of Ottoman architecture and also contains large collections of porcelain, robes, weapons, shields, armor, Ottoman miniatures, Islamic calligraphic manuscripts and murals, as well as a display of Ottoman treasure and jewelry.
The Rumeli Castle is a 3-towered fortress built in 1452 on the Bosphorus to protect the narrow waterway from advancing ships. It is on a hill at the European side of the Bosphorus.
The Rumeli Castle was built by the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II between 1451 and 1452, before he conquered Constantinople.
The 3 great towers were named after 3 of Mehmed II's viziers.
First, Sadrasim Sandarli Halil Pasha, who built the big tower next to the gate.
Second, Zaganos Pasha, who built the south tower. And third, Sarika Pasha, who built the north tower.
Maiden Tower is a symbol of Istanbul.
Bargaining for goods is standard practice at the Grand Bazaar, the largest covered market in Turkey, with over 4,000 shops.
This is the Grand Bazaar, in Turkish, Kapalı Çarşısı.
This is another view of the Grand Bazaar.
Spices, dried fruits, nuts and seeds are among the many treasures to be found at the Egyptian Bazaar, also known as the Spice Market.
This is the Egyptian Bazaar.
Bosphorus Cruise. The Bosphorus is strait that passes along the shores of Istanbul. It is 20 miles in length and is the physical divider between the continents of Europe and Asia. The Kora Church is an 11th century church was noted for its remarkable mosaics illustrating scenes from the life of Christ and the Virgin Mary. It has since been converted into a museum. The Church of Saint Saviour in Kora is considered to be one of the most beautiful examples of a Byzantine church in the 16th century. The church was converted into a mosque by the Ottoman rulers. The Kora Church became a secularized museum in 1948. The interior of the building is covered with fine mosaics and frescoes. The Istanbul Modern Art Museum is a museum of contemporary art in Istanbul, opened in 2004.
Besides its importance as the first Turkish museum, the Istanbul Archaeology Museum is one of the world's largest museums with over 1 million works. Opened to the public in 1891, it houses a collection of Greek, Roman and Byzantine artifacts.
The University of Istanbul is Turkey's oldest university. It was founded in 425 by Byzantine Emperor Theodosius II.
Istanbul, Table of Contents.